Brendan from techbuzzireland. Today we have the Jabra Engage 50i. And I suppose this is just your business type earphones, etc. We'll just go through some of the box itself, what actually comes with. This particular one is USB-A, improved customer satisfaction with more inspired conversations. Not as bad as being in a call with somebody and you can't actually hear the conversation, which is quite regularly in a call centre. You can hear the noise in the background. This particular one, you won't have that problem. Live caption experience, super sounding calls, ultra light and comfortable, and that's probably a big one there at the moment. This particular one is 65 grams, which is quite good. You can get the mono one as well, which is about 45 grams, but as far as lightness is certainly there, and it's got the information there. One thing you'll notice straight away is a certified Microsoft Teams, and this particular one has got the stereo and the link, and type A. And the instructions, before we go into details on the box itself, this packaging is thoroughly crafted with 100% recyclable material. That is always good to see in modern day, and sometimes you can just say, well, what do I care? Probably bigger things if the manufacturers are actually caring about that. That's quite a nice. And what you actually, before we go to, you can actually download software itself specifically for it, so monitor it, personalize, register, those are the details. And this is the basic, I suppose, the features you get with the unit itself. And in essence, what you're really getting is volume button on top here at the moment. The mute, which is this particular button. This is probably the button I've used mainly most of the time, because most of the calls have been actually on. You're talking is normal, and you just go mute, off mute, etc. Interesting, when you do press the mute, there's a little bit of a click. So the click is quite good that you can actually hear it, and come programmable buttons there at the moment. And this is the answer to Teams calls itself. You also get on the unit itself and the earphones themselves, and it just comes, and the microphone just down and up as you would expect, and you try and keep that thing from a point of view of your head. We just expanded, and that particular part is actually quite comfortable, so you can actually use it. And again, it is lightweight angle air cushion, so it is actually comfortable and fairly light there. Probably the main part on this is why is it any difference, etc., is the microphone. So it's 3 mic technology, which improves the quality of the call, and that's probably the key, because the microphone will actually filter out a lot of noise in the background, and that's actually a problem, the background noise, because you're on a call, the last thing you want to hear is things happening in the background, dog barking for example, doorbell going, people walking, people talking a couple of foot away there at the moment, really annoying on a call. And yes, you can hear it yourself there on that. And one of the other things which I already mentioned about, it works with basically everything in terms of the variety of things. It is certified for Microsoft Teams, Google it works, and Google Teams, Meet, etc. There are different options it'll actually work. What it also comes with, which is quite nice, is it comes with a case. So it just means that if you're going about, you just chuck it into your case and you can actually use it as such, and that's kind of thing. A couple of other quick things. So what I've done here is I broke it into 2 different parts. And in reality, all you're really doing is that joins directly into here, and you have your earphones, and it's connected. This part, USB-A, you can get in USB plugs directly into, example, to your laptop, etc. on that. But what you can also do is, if with your normal phone, you can plug it in there, and you can walk around making a normal call. So if you want to make a call, for example, is you just plug it in and your normal calls. You will notice the green light does come on. That does show it's there, and you're on that. When it's connected to a computer, for example, the green light comes on, but as soon as you go on a call, this green light changes to a red light, which is actually giving an indication of the call. And that's quite good on that particular one there. So as I said, you can walk around with this, having the earphones, listen to music, or actually on a call itself, and you can swap to the left or to the right ear. Bit more details on the software. Within the unit itself, it actually comes with free software, as the Jabra software itself. And this one just plugged in there. There's no setup required in the sense of you just plug it in, it actually works. So you don't have to download drivers, etc. As an added features, for example, is you can give it more information and you can get more details. You can see the lights actually coming on there within the settings. Obviously pairing different things, and you go into the settings, or you can go straight over here and the different options. So within the options themselves, you might notice Microsoft Teams ready. These are all the different IDs you can actually use for the unit itself. Set your audio preferences, normal, basic, treble, so you can adjust the volume itself. Slide tone, and we'll just go down to it. See, sounds will be playing your headset of different status, which is quite good. I like this particular boom out left to right. So one thing with most earphones you'll notice is they're typically right, so you can put it down. This one's actually saying if you want to use it on your left ear, you can actually change the setting to your right or your left. This would be like if you're left-handed, right-handed. Sometimes manufacturers forget people have different choices, etc., which is quite nice to actually have that facility to do it. And if you have something's going on, you can actually change the name itself. And you've got controllers. So what actually happens on the mute, you can actually change it to different functionality controller to say a particular button will mute or what it actually does, and you can go down through it. One thing I really like, and there's a lot of functions I do, is the smart tone ringer. So typically when you're on a call, for example, you end the call and you put the headset on your desk as you would often do, and you go off for a cup of coffee. If, for example, it rings and your phone and Teams calls come through, you can't hear it because it rings through the speaker itself. This has got a clever technology inbuilt, so it'll actually ring. So when I get a call coming through, it's sitting on the desk there, it'll actually ring to say something is called coming through, and you can go back, pick the handset up and call it. Whereas a lot of other microphones have used, it'll ring all right, but you just hear the earphones, and obviously you can't hear it at all, which is actually a bit of a thing. And there's a lot of information about compatibilities, etc., that you can actually use, product information, and that gives you an idea of the overall view. You do not need to download this software, you do not need to use it, but as far as personalization of the software, of the unit itself, it's quite good that you can personalize it and set it up there itself. When you're on actually an example, a Teams call, this will be your typical call that you'd actually be on with the microphone, etc. A couple of things you'll spot straight away, be familiar. What you'll actually notice is now that I'm on a call, the light has gone red. As soon as I end this particular call, the light will go back to green. So that's quite probably important to be able to wear that, so when you actually see someone coming on. And again, the volume has been adjusted. So as I adjust the volume, you can see the volume being adjusted up and down. Typically what I've found is once you set it to a typical call, it's not required to be changed. And you can actually adjust the mute, and there's a few other things you can actually do on it. Mostly what people will find is when they're on the call itself, the biggest problem people have is device settings. So when it's actually in use itself, Jabra is coming up their headset. People said to me, well, what's the difference between the Bluetooth wireless ones in this particular type of model? As a rule of thumb, technically it takes less messing with a normal hardwired on coming through, simply because when you're connecting with the Bluetooth, it's another option that could potentially cause you a problem. As in recently I was on a call with the Bluetooth, good branding, my mouse, Bluetooth mouse, and my Bluetooth earphones both stopped working when I did a software upgrade with a well-known brand of laptop. I had to do a reboot, etc. So in that middle of that call, when that happened, is I just swapped over to a hardwired microphone and plugged them in, and it worked straight away. So from a technical point of view, is 99% of the time a hardwire will always work. Bluetooth wireless has a lot of conveniences. You can walk around, you can do a lot of other details, etc. So that's personal choice. You don't have to worry about on a Monday morning, for example, is you left your earphones on all weekend, so all of a sudden you do. And again, the big thing with any particular one there at the moment is the quality, and you'll see on the software itself there's different health and safety issues as well that will actually measure. So you're turning up the volume, and turning up the volume is quite simple enough there, and actually muting it is there on those details. And you can see the mic here being muted, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when I pick it up to my head, you get far more volume. I'm keeping it. When I have it down, you can actually see I'm talking. When I'm talking, the mic is not actually picking it up because it's so far away. What that actually means as well is if somebody else is in the room talking to me and asking me a question, I can ignore them within reason. The people on the other end are not actually picking it up. But as I bring it up to my thing, it's now picking it up. And as I said, pressing the mute just automatically mutes it. You can't hear the click. So the click itself will actually tell me it's mute. It's off mute there at the moment, the volume. This big green button can actually thing. As I said, when I end the call itself, this red light will go to green. And in essence, going to green just means that people know that not to disturb, do not disturb basically. And there is other configurations there. As I would expect with Jabra, with 3 microphones inbuilt into there is quality there. This is actually very, very light and quite comfortable to wear. And you can see this pad there on the top to using it itself in the background. I can't fault these particular units. With Jabra, we've been using a lot. I do like the idea that they're environmentally sourced packaging, etc., but also within it, it's got a lot of safety information because we're using this for 10, 20, 30, 40 hours for a day, a week, for example. All of a sudden your ears are going to over time will deteriorate, etc., which mightn't have been the case in a few years ago that we weren't using them. In theory, from that perspective, it's good to see that they're actually caring for the longer term. So when you get a bit older, etc., these won't have damaged your ears, whereas other ones you can just turn them up, blare them up, and bit by bit you're damaging your ears. It's quality and strength. Cable is strong, solid there at the moment. I like the idea that you can disconnect this as well and just plug it directly into your phone. You don't get the colours, you don't get to change the colours when it's on your normal mobile phone, for example, on a smart call. You can get this connection directly with a USB-C also. It's just another alternative model there itself. And overall, with the Jabra products there, that's quite good. And thank you for watching this particular one, and the Jabra Engage 50YI there. And one other thing, quick thing is there's a 3-year warranty with this particular model there. Anytime somebody gives a 3-year warranty, I always gives a bit more extra confidence as well. And with that, thank you very much for watching Tech Buzz Ireland.